All right, so welcome to video 2, and in this video we're going to be talking about time mastery. Now, there's a lot of confusion about this. I'm not going to be doing the whole track yourself, time exercises and stuff like that. I'm simply going to be talking about, again, output and efficiency. Because really, if you want to get the most results in anything, if you want to be the best at anything, you want to succeed at anything, it comes down to simply this most of the time. All right, if you have two people and one is investing way more time and energy in something than the other one, this one's going to win. But what also comes down to time optimization is being able to get the most out of certain periods of your time. If you can go and grab about 4 to 5 hours of your time and maximize that, you can go and double the amount of time results that you're getting. And so what you need to understand is that when we are building businesses, we are trying to compete in the hyper 1%, and we're trying to beat other very talented people, and we're trying to do, things that most people fail at. Most people don't succeed in business. Most people don't go and get incredible results. So we have to do incredible things. And we have to optimize ourselves in incredible ways. So not only do we want to not be this person right here whose time is spent very inefficiently. Most people, everybody has the same 24 hours in a day. Everybody has the same amount of time as Jeff Bezos. Everybody can work the same amount of time as Jeff Bezos. How does he get better results? How do certain entrepreneurs get insane results? It has to do a lot with time. Now, what we then have to be able to do is make sure that our time is spent in the most efficient ways possible. The most valuable time is spent in the most efficient ways possible. And in every ounce of time is spent to get us the results that we're looking for in life. So for example, my goal in life, everything I work on, my purpose is working on business and improving as a person. So when you look at how I divvy up my time, I don't have any time going anywhere else. I don't have any time going anywhere else. And that's how I'm able to go and get incredible results with my business. Now, what you're also going to see is that not only is it about spending time, but it's about when you're actually spending your work time, getting it spent in the most efficient way. Most people, first off, their time is spent in places that have nothing to do with their goals in life. Then on the other hand, when they are working on their goals, it's spent so inefficiently that they don't make any progress in their goals. And you have to diagnose this because it's chronic in entrepreneurship, because no one really learned how to work well in entrepreneurship, especially people that have started at entrepreneurship at a young age. You might have done that. If you worked in a career maybe for 10 years or something, you might not have this to the same extent. But this is what we need to talk about. Now, the other thing I want you to focus on right here is that there's going to be a very specific amount of time that I'm going to talk about in our work periods where we're actually able to get the deepest, most high quality work done. When we've gone and optimized our body, when we've gone and optimized how we think and clear head, this time right here, it's called what I like to call fire mode. And if you ever played NBA Hang Time anytime, or NBA Jam, there's a mode in that game called He's on Fire. And it's basically when you shot 3 shots in a row. And what happens at that point is the ball catches fire. Your player cannot miss a single shot. He can just bomb 3-pointers from across the court. He can actually jump in the air doing backflips and dunk it from across the court. It's actually really funny to watch. I'd Google it when you have some time. That being said, the thing about maximizing, when you're playing NBA Hang Time, the whole goal is to get in fire and then maximize the time that you're in fire and then try to get in fire again. So let me explain how this kind of looks right here and how it actually applies to real life. So if you got in fire mode in the game and you have, let's say you have 10 minutes, and in that time period, you can take 20 shots if you were super optimized. This is going to get you the most results. Okay, this is going to get you the most results. This is going to get you the most points. Okay, this will get you, in basketball terms, this will get you 40 points. Now, if you got in the fire mode in this game and you're checking Instagram, you're haphazardly talking or being interrupted by your girlfriend or kids or something like that, or let's say your employees, and you are doing the 1,001 things, checking your phone, getting text messages, hopping over to pay bills, checking your stats and numbers. This is going to reduce your shots down to 5 or 6 shots, and you're going to get 12 points as a reward for this time, as your fire time, then 40 points. And over time, this fire time that I'm going to discuss in the mornings or when you first get to work, over time, this is where most of your benefit is going to come from. This is when your big scoring time is going to come from. It's going to give you the edge in entrepreneurship. And if you're spending it very poorly, which almost everybody does, you're not going to get the results of this guy, and you're going to move very slowly. Okay, and one of the easiest ways to beat other people is to understand this and optimize this and really get work done here. Now, the next thing I want to state is that when you look at my daily work time right here, it's all about getting in the fire mode and it's about recovering to get back in fire mode. So what I'm going to do on a day-to-day basis is, let's imagine I get up at 4 a.m. and I'll explain how deep work and fire mode works here in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from 4 a.m. to probably about 2 to 3 p.m., about in that time range. All right, so 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, so about a 10-hour day. Then what I'm going to do is I'm only going to focus on things I can do to recover for the next day. Okay, it's all about recovering for the next day and then spending this time on things that are very important to getting better results out of this time period right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do anything that is work. I'm going to talk about, hiring house managers and getting everything out of your life that does not have to do with recovering. But during this time period right here, I'm going to sum it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to audiobooks and I'm going to do detoxes and things that optimize my body for the next day. Now, this is a little bit extreme, but I want to get extreme results. You also have to understand my purpose is business and going out there and crushing it. That's where I get my happiness from. I just know that very clearly. So that's where I put everything in. All right. So from this time period, from about 3 to 7:30 p.m., I'm going to be listening to audiobooks, working out, and doing detoxes or doing certain types of cleanses, hopping my hyperbaric chamber, stuff like that. Okay, and so that's what's going to be going on during this time period right here. Now, I'll also leave stuff like cleaning and cooking and some mindless work around my house because I listen to audiobooks and I like to do mindless work while I'm listening to audiobooks. So every moment of my day is spent either in super optimized work time or learning to use this work time better or improving my body so that I feel better and I can get more out of myself in this work time. And of course, maybe like sometimes from like 5 to 7:30, I'll hang out with my girlfriend and stuff like that. But you can see that there's two things I want to focus on right here. Everything is going into optimizing the time that I am working, and then every other unit of my time is going into making sure that I can get the most results from my work because I'm either learning or making my body better so I get better results from my work. And so because of that, when I'm going up against other entrepreneurs, they don't really stand a chance because most people get done working and then they just screw off for the rest of the day. Or most people only work like 8 hours or 8 hours, and I'm still beating them right there. And in those 8 hours, they usually only get like 2 hours of real work done. And so this is how you beat other entrepreneurs. This is how you beat other people in business. It's just like this. Now, I want to stress one thing right here. Your goals might not be the same as mine. If you want to make $5-10 million a year and you only want to work 3 to 4 hours a day and spend the rest of your time messing around, hanging out with your friends and family, that's totally cool. I'm not suggesting that you do the stuff I do. I'm suggesting that if you want to maximize your life, well, what you need to do is you need to maximize this time right here, these 4 hours in fire mode, and you could really run a multi-million-dollar per year business easily with this time right here. Okay, that's not my goal, but you could easily do this right here. And then what you could do is make sure that the rest of your time is spent with your friends and family only, and you could remove all the other things from your life, and that's what I'm going to be discussing right here. Okay, if you're cooking your own food, if you're going grocery shopping, you're paying bills, you're spending time like doing errands and stuff like that, that's insane to me because you're trying to become a successful entrepreneur, or you already are a successful entrepreneur, and your time, like, you're not going to get that back, and you only live once. And I don't want to go into a whole Tony Robbins thing where we're trying to maximize the purpose of our life and get the most out of our lives and stuff like that. But I mean, I'll tap on that for a second. You're only going to live once. Your time shouldn't be spent doing anything other than the things that are important to you. You could even find ways to make yourself a far superior entrepreneur if you're working 4 hours a day, but then you could also get in another 4 hours of reading or learning while you're doing other stuff throughout the day. Like you could be working out or working on some other positive habits or skills in your life or another hobby that you have, and you can really maximize that and then still have time to hang out with your family and friends. So I want to state that, like, it's so incredibly important. And the most important thing about this is you need to be able to segment that. And I'll talk about all the strategies behind this, but this is the most important thing I can say right here, because most people's time is spent all over the place. They get very poor use of their time, and so they don't get anything they want out of life. And so the things that they won't sacrifice, like their cell phones and all the trivial things they do, or the errands that they're running, or allowing their family to interrupt them, or spending too much time playing or doing mindless things like video games, or the list goes on, watching too much television, spending time digging around social media. Like, the things you won't sacrifice are going to be are going to end up making the things you do care about the sacrifice. Okay, so that's what this whole thing is about. Okay, a lot of people when they think time management, they think like CEO optimization. You've probably read time management books where people block out their time and schedule things. That's all. That's just it's not good. It's not good enough. That isn't how any of us thinks, and that sounds like a grind. It sounds terrible. What I want to focus on is output and efficiency. So with that being in mind, I want to repeat a quote that my buddy Sam Ovens, I heard from him, and I maybe heard this from somebody else. I don't know, but I do borrow a lot of things from Sam, and I'm sure he borrows those things from other people. We're all borrowing things. So I'm going to borrow this from Sam. If you do not sacrifice the things that are important to you, become the sacrifice or will be the sacrifice. That's what you have to understand about this. And time management is really just about sacrificing so that you can put as many units of time into what's important to you in life. Now, again, we got to determine what's most important to us. If you want to be the greatest business person ever, you want to be an absolute beast, you want to beat everybody else out there, all your units of time need to go into your business. Okay? That's just the truth. For example, like I don't have many friends. I don't spend much time with people. I don't spend much time with my family. I really, the only person I spend time with is my girlfriend, and that's about like 1 to 2 hours at the end of every single day or every other day. Okay, so if you need to understand like exactly what's important to you in life, if your family and friends are super important to you, that's fine, but you're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat someone who's operating with me, and that's not because I'm better, it's just because more of my time is going into it. Okay. And then your success as a person, like maybe your business is the most important thing, but you becoming like a really great person with a lot of different skills and who's seeing the world and just growing as a person. These are only the 3 things I think life could be about. Okay. Anything else is going to leave it pretty hollow, but it's totally up to you. Maybe you want to play video games all day. Same thing. And that who that you strive to be. Everybody has this vision of the person that they know they can become, but until you learn how to optimize your time and focus your time and invest units of your time into becoming that who you want to become, you'll never become that. That person will be the sacrifice and the disappointing thing you see in the mirror on the last day of your life. I don't mean to be morbid. That's just a fact. So if you better get this straight because it's going to cause a lot of pain in 10 years. I wish I'd known this in my 20s because, man, I'd be 10 times wealthier right now. Okay, and it's not really about the wealth for me. I'd have it 10 times, like my businesses I'm working on right now would already be gigantic. We'd be doing crazy things in the world. And, I'm not going to talk about how little money means in this series, but that's the thing I wish I'd learned right there. So to become a truly optimized person, we need to optimize our time for maximum of what matters and 0 of what doesn't. We need to optimize our mind for maximum output. We need to optimize our focus for output at multiplication. So what this basically means right here is we need to go and hone our time around how it's spent, how effective our mind is during that time, which we talked about in body, and then how focused that time is spent. So for example, if I have a 10-hour workday, but I'm working on 50 different businesses, that time's not really going to work. And we're going to talk about that in focus section coming up here. Okay. And then we really need to understand who we are to get the best returns on output. But if you're able to do this right here, you're going to get a 10x return on your time, and that's going to allow you to scale and move the business and do all the things you need to really crush it with your ads. Again, this all always ties back to making your courses and your ads. And so after stating everything that I've stated, we got to understand that time is our most valuable asset. This is where everything comes from. Time is the source of everything. And you have to understand most of your time is spent and sacrificed on things that aren't important to you or won't get you the results that you're looking for in your life, whether it's family or becoming that person, that great person you want to become, or at least an ads complete badass. There's this invisible time vampire that's constantly taking everything from you in your life. And in order to get away from this guy, you have to be able to cut stuff out of your life. You have to be able to cut stuff out of your life. And so the steps to becoming really lethal is you should only spend time doing 3 things: work, recovering from work, and things that are extremely important to you: family, hobbies, etc. Okay? So again, I've stated your life is short and the results you get from your time are extremely finite. If you want more of what you love, you must be better at removing things from your life. So this is how most people's day-to-day lives look. So the person will sleep for 10 hours and then they'll work for 7. Okay? This is what most people do right here. They'll work about 7 hours. And then they'll spend 1 hour just dealing with people that aren't important to them. Just people in general, maybe hanging out with like dumb friends that they don't really care about and stuff like that. Then they'll spend 2 hours a day on social media, and then they'll spend 2 hours a day on TV, and then they'll spend 2 hours doing chores, and then they'll repeat this process. And when you're looking at this right here, this person is going to be so bad at getting the things they want out of their life, because I'm going to explain where the work gets destroyed here in a second. But look at all the time it's invested in stuff that doesn't get them any results. Like, what if if people are the most important thing, what if we just got rid of these things right here and it was just all people? Or what if we got rid of these things right here, increase people to 2 hours, and then put the rest of the hours into studying and body optimization, and then cut sleep down to 2 hours and made our sleep super optimized? That person right there would really whoop the crap out of anybody. Now, I want to talk about my day-to-day day. And again, I don't say you should work completely like me, but what I'm going to do is I sleep for about 8 hours every single night. Okay? And then I'm going to work and learn for 12 hours. So I'm usually going to have about a 10-hour work day, but I'm also going to spend the other 2 hours of this learning period listening to audiobooks, doing body detoxes and optimization, or just learning about things in general. And then I'm going to spend 1 hour working out, and I'll spend 2 to 3 hours hanging out with my girlfriend or kind of relaxing, maybe reading during this time. This routine right here is super refined to get all the stuff that I want out of life. All the things that are important to me. I don't have any time going to anything else. And I'll state how this works right here. Now, you have to understand that everything in your life can be outsourced, and it should. How much is your time worth per hour? A lot of people do this whole, my time's worth $3,000 per hour, so outsource it. I don't really like to subscribe to that. I just think that if you want to get the best results in life, you can't be spending time doing things that don't get you results. We can really simplify it to that, and I don't like to do the whole time calculation thing. So you got to think about everything you're doing in your day-to-day life, even down to paying bills, okay? Cleaning your house, anything. If it can be outsourced, just outsource it so you can spend more time either recovering or focusing on the things you want to do. And so what you want to do is you need to figure out what you want and only include that in your life. TV, social media, cleaning, cooking, laundering, bills, dealing with the plumber, making your bed, getting groceries. All this stuff right here can just go. You can just have someone do it for you. Okay? If you're already a successful entrepreneur, you could pay someone $4,000 a month, and all of this is just gone. Just gone. And the money isn't really that important. You're going to get a much better ROI on your time than that $4,000. Just removing all this stuff right here. This stuff right here in particular, most people, social media, TV, I'll get into how it messes up your brain here in a second. But just time-wise, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it and put all that time into what's important to you, so you're going to get more of what's important to you. You're not going to look back on your life and think, man, I'm really glad I was involved in those Twitter fights and I watched the complete series of Lost. That's really not gonna make you feel good at the end of the day when you look at how you spent your time. It's gonna be like when you looked at your budget for your finances and you spent all your money on I don't know, let's say McDonald's food. Like you'd be like, how the hell did I spend $100,000 on McDonald's food? All right, you don't want to look back and do that. So these things will rob you of everything that's important to you. So you also have to think about all the other things that are invisible vampires when it comes to time, and also focus, which we'll talk about here in a second. Phone calls, social media messages, running out of an item in your house. Like if you just have to keep going to the store, I used to always have to go to the store and get coffee and whatnot. And you have to notice that, like, if you look at, like, everybody has your phone number, the amount of text messages, the amount of time you're spending checking social media messages, you look back and 2 hours of your time is just completely wasted and gone. Which sucks, because if you're going up against someone like me or someone who has optimized their time, they just gain 2 hours on you of work or learning time. And if you just look at the day-to-day person, they spend all their time in about 15-minute intervals just going back and forth between all these sort of different things right here. And this is super crippling, and the reason why you're going to get half results from your work is this. I want to talk about this because this is all going to come together in the focus video, but I want to lay the ground here. Is if you go and look at my average day, or just let's look at your work time right here. Most people never focus on anything time-wise, and they spend all their time on goofy stuff, and they never really get 15 minutes dedicated to anything in a straight line. And that means when you're working on something, you only work on it if you're spending 3 hours on something, you only work on it. You don't do anything. You don't check your phone. You don't check a social media message. You don't check email. You only do that one thing. And so, like, for these videos that I'm shooting right now for this course, I'll sit down and for just 12 hours straight, I'll just film videos. That's how I get the videos done very quickly. I can afford to, like, actually put real amounts of time in the videos. Have you ever gone through other people's courses? They're rushing to the videos and putting out crap videos that don't even work. Okay, I need to make sure this works so that you're very satisfied with the product. So I want to state one thing, though. When you're working, you need to make sure your time is only spent working on nothing that doesn't get results to the work. And this will tie into focus here in a moment. But the most important thing you need to understand is that when you wake up or first get to work, your first 4 hours of work are when you're going to be most focused. It's when you're going to be most creative. It's when you're going to have the most energy. It's when you're going to do the best stuff. And so another part of time optimization is not just removing everything from your life that doesn't have to do with your goals, so we can invest as much time units into the things that will get us our goals, but it's also understanding and keeping this time right here sacred, because this is your fire time that we talked about earlier. And during this time right here, what happens is most people wake up, and let's imagine when most people get to work, they're going to get to work and they start their fire time. They start working on one thing, then they get interrupted by social media. They check their phone, they take a quick phone call, they check their email, and then they're working on something during this time, or 2 to 3 different things on this time. And here's the problem with this. So when you read the book Deep Work, it's in the recommended reading for this program. What you're going to see is that it takes the human mind about, some people say 2 hours. I think about 30 minutes to an hour, from my experience, to get in a really deep zone. All right. And so when you're in a zone, you're not focusing on anything else. You're purely there. You are really deep into your work. And this is when you're going to get so much ROI on your time. You're going to get work done so much faster. You're going to create incredible things. You're going to have your best ideas. You're just completely at one with the work. And it takes the human mind about 30 minutes to an hour to get into this. And the reason why most people are never able to get any good work done is because they're interrupted about 20 dimes an hour with all sorts of nonsense. Okay, and this is really tying more into the focus video. And so when you don't understand how to protect your time, you're never going to get into this deep work state. And so what happens is most people, they're going to go and work, and they're going to completely waste this time right here. During this time, they might get 1 hour of total work done, because most people's most interrupted time is in the mornings. Okay, that's when most people are. So they get like 1 hour work done here, and then they spend the other 4 hours a day, again, in the same interrupted, constantly shifting between things, focus, or constantly being interrupted, and they only get 1 other hour of work done right here. And so, again, this ties deeply into the focus that we're going to be discussing in the next video. But you can see right here, this time is so poorly managed and interrupted that they're really only able to get 1 hour of work done in an 8-hour day. And this is why most people fail. Like when I was first starting off, I was working on 10 different businesses, checking messages, doing all my chores, doing all my errands, paying bills in the middle of the day. And the result is I never got really much done, and it took me forever to get stuff done. And so when you see people in the program and it takes them 2 months to make a webinar, this is why, okay? To write a webinar and film it, it should take 12 hours. You can get that done in a single day. And so this is super important as well. And so this is what I'm talking about when it comes to time management. If you can go out there and get this all in one straight 10-hour block where you're not interrupted, your time is protected, and you're only working on the things that matter, and then the rest of your day is spent making it so that you can work better on the things that matter or some of the things that are super important to you, you're going to have a far superior life and be a far superior business owner. You just are. And part of winning at ads is being a superior business owner, as we're going to talk about in this program. You have to be better at making products and running ads and building the funnels and putting the time and attention that's required. Because what you're going to see as we go through this program is in order to build funnels that work with ads, it takes a lot of intensive time and focus. This right here is why most people's funnels and ads don't work, because they're only getting 2 hours of work done in an 8-hour day. Man, you're not going to beat my 12 hours of work on my funnel. If I put in, let's say in 1 week, I put in 20 hours of work, actual work in there, and you're able to only put in a type of work where you only get 1/4 of the benefit from the hours you put in, you're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat anyone's funnel who's hyper optimized. And so this is why time optimization is so important. So I want to talk about how to do this now. And there's 2 facets to this. Look, if you're below $20,000 a month, you might not be able to do all the things we're going to talk about, like getting a house manager and outsourcing everything. That's fine. I want to talk about the things you can do to get the most effective use of your time. So what you can do first off is you must remove all the nonsense. When we talk about the focus section coming up here, you're going to see essentially how bad this stuff is for you overall. It's not just a time sink. You need to get rid of social media and TV. Look, if your business isn't based around social media, you don't need a Facebook or Instagram account. You don't need a television. And if it's not something that you can look back on and attribute as a net positive for your result, just cut it, break it, or destroy it. Okay? Like for example, like I won't with video game systems. Sometimes I'll take a video game week about like a couple times a year and play video games, but as soon as I'm done, I'll just break all the disk and the save files, so I don't play the stuff anymore. And I'll talk about that here more in the focus video and why I do that. It's very important because it will wreck your business work. Now, what you also want to have is you must have a maid. And if you don't use your cooking time like I do to listen to audiobooks, you should get a chef to come by every single week and just make all your food for you. It's not that expensive. It's not that expensive to do anything, so it's going to save you so much time. Okay? The amount of time you spend cooking and cleaning your house is insane. Don't do it. Now, what you can also do if you're sub 20K a month and you can't afford the maid, and you should be able to afford a maid, maybe not the home chef right away, but you should prepare all your critical life items in one time frame. So your bills, laundry, grocery shopping, dealing with contractors to fix your AC, all these things right here, you should isolate these to probably your least effective day, which is going to probably be Fridays. After about 6 days of work, that's when you're probably not going to be as effective. And if you can just book these all to one afternoon and do it all in one afternoon, that's how you can really maximize the amount of time it takes to get these things done. You can get them done in a much shorter time frame because you're doing it all at once. And also it keeps it all the way outside of your work time or your learning time. What you also need to do is change your phone number. Every single time you're answering a phone call, every single time you're dealing with people on the phone calling you or texting you, gargantuan waste of time. Just don't have any. No one should have your phone number ever. It's the most damaging thing to your focus I could possibly imagine. Having a little device that's constantly ringing and trying to grab your attention to things that don't matter is insane. We'll talk about that more in the focus section. Now, you should also have an epic routine. The best way to maximize your time is to have everything routined out so that such little time is spent on things that don't matter. So for example, when I go to bed, I'm going to make sure that I have the same pair of clothes laid out for me in the morning so that I can get to my computer as fast as possible. It takes me about 5 minutes to get up from bed and get to my work. That means I'm going to have the same pair of clothes. I have the same 5 pairs of Under Armour pants, the same 5 hoodies, the same 5 tank tops, the same pair of shoes every single day. So it takes me no time at all and no thought to get to my work. My food and everything is what I used to do is I just have it prepared by a chef, and this would allow me just to eat it right away. Right now, I don't really have much food preparation, and I like to listen to audiobooks while I cook at the end of the day. That's just me. But what you should have, if you're not listening to audiobooks at the end of the day when you're cooking, you should just have the food ready to go, especially if you eat multiple meals a day. I only eat one meal a day, so I eat one big giant meal every single day, so that's different for me. So mine's a little bit habit. But if you eat multiple times a day, you should have that in Tupperware laid out for you so that you can just walk upstairs and eat really quickly. Okay, I don't expect you to adopt the freak eating habits that I do. But if you're cooking, preparing food, or going and getting food 3 times a day, that's insane. That's insane. So much time and so much focus is wasted right there. And remove all the wasteful time that you spend that isn't spent learning. So if you're walking to places, if you're taking inefficient breaks, if you're going and dealing with bills, just remove all of it. And then again, have epic sleep. If you're going to bed for 10 hours and you're only getting 6 hours of sleep like most people do, you got to fix that. You got to fix that. Now, if you're above 20K a month, just get a house manager to manage every aspect of your life and just have them do everything. Anything that doesn't have to do with work, learning, or your family or friends, just get rid of it. That's how you can maximize your time. And I want to stress, don't put this off. If you're just wasting 1 hour a day, that's 7 hours a week. That's 28 hours a month. That's literally 1 day of your life gone. That's 12 days a year. All right. Would you rather take a 2-week vacation with your family and that time that you saved, or do the dishes? Because that's what you're doing. If you're spending your time doing things that aren't important, you're literally spending a 2-week vacation every single year doing stuff that has nothing to do with anything that's important to you. And it's usually a lot more than this. It's usually about 3 to 4 hours a day. You could take months of your time off, or invest months more time in stuff that matters if you could just cut this out of there. And this is why you will lose to people that are super optimized, because they're going out there, and if their only focus is on business, they're getting another month or 2 of work done on their business over you. If your time isn't optimized and you're doing that thing that I talked about where people's time is split up when they're working, they're probably getting like a year of business on you every single year because their time is multiplied. So you have to take this into mind. And then we need to tie this insanely in the focus, because the real point of time optimization is so we can focus on things. Focus and how our minds work is how we're going to get results from our time. Because what we've covered right now is, first off, we got our body set up so that we can go and use our time efficiently. We can really get results from our time because now we can focus and have creative thoughts. Now we've maximized our time so we have the most units possible to put into what's important to us. And then when we go and apply focus to this is like a magnifying glass that allows us to go out there and get absurd results from our time because our body is optimized. If we're able to tie these things together and put them through the magnifying glass as focus, this is where we're going to get 100x better results than other people. And so the most important part of all this is focus, which we're going to be discussing in the next video.